Even today, there's a lot of progress that needs to be made, but if you look back 50 years, then if you're honest with yourself, you have to say that a lot of progress has been made. Much as we'd like, probably not, but significant things have improved, and the March on Washington had a lot to do with that, from my perspective. I would say, with the glass half full lens, that the legacy is that as an individual with more rights, privileges, and freedoms than were there 50 years ago, a human being, man or woman, have a better chance to be all that they can be, not being curtailed by law or by as rigid an attitude that existed 50 years ago, and such that it's now much more individually driven. Now, how many people get the chance by some of the other biases to be all they can be is a different conversation. But I would say the legacy is the barriers and the stereotypes have been removed to a large degree, open up the door for you to climb further than you could climb based upon conditions that existed 50 years ago. My father, who was a lawyer, filed the suit with Thurgood Marshall to integrate the University of North Carolina Law School in 1949. And as a result, in 1962, he decided that his children would integrate the school system of Asheville, North Carolina, which we did. And according to my mother, by the way, my father died that November of 1962. We integrated the school in September of 1962. So according to her, he prepared his brief, read it for a fight. He went up to the school and said, "I demand that my children be allowed in the school." And the principal said, "Okay." And that was okay with the principal, but it wasn't okay with some of the parents and the students. And when we got to school in September, I do remember being called the N-word, and I do remember being spit on. But we had been trained that we were to not respond, and we didn't. But again, compared to what went on other places, this was relatively mild. I took some of those experiences and used them for my career advancement. Coming out of Massachusetts in the mid-90s, after 20 years in manufacturing, I needed some sales and marketing experience to one day be a CEO. And a company in Wisconsin who had never had a black executive and was looking for one, but could not get anybody to come to Wisconsin. And so based upon my experience of having been the first and only before as a kid, I was very comfortable by leveraging that. And so we made a deal. I'll come and integrate your senior executive ranks if you'll give me a job in sales and marketing. And had I not done it as a kid, I may not have done it as an adult. I didn't know I had leadership and could rally people, but I've moved a lot, and I have been asked to be in charge of pretty much everything I've touched. And it all stems from that. Even as a kid, I knew of the conflict inside of the movement between the Urban League and the NAACP and Stokely Carmichael, and I knew the tension between nonviolence and violence. And the way I translate that for my own life and career is you can either be outside with a picket sign or you could be at the table. I prefer to be at the table trying to negotiate change versus being outside trying to picket for change. A lot of progress has been made there, and I think to some degree it has been. There are other aspects where our society still has a lot of progress to be made. Within the African American race, the question is, at that point, or even 15 years ago, would we have expected to have seen a black president in our lifetime? More people than not would have said no. So that is a testament of, a significant progress. The number of politicians, opportunities are open to you that were not open 50 years ago, but statistically there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.